What's up everybody, this is Mosen here with MTA 35 and what's going on boys? It's been a short night, but we got some cool topics I think, and we're gonna jump right back into those. Yesterday we talked about some of them, so grab your coffees, whatever your ritual is. Right. And we're gonna start with the first topic, and that is kind of going back, as you can see here. And Thomas Linsky, he said, and he comes in and says, they said that retail subscribers will get access to Classic for free. So basically, from what I understand, there will be only one subscription plan for both games combined. That meaning you could just farm gold on your retail WoW and buy subscription, resulting in an access to Classic 2. Yes. I just wanted to pick up on this topic again, because, yeah, yesterday I think, when I thought about it afterwards, I think it wasn't really clear. And, yes, you are right, you can probably buy, I mean, how are they gonna restrict that, right? They can't really. So, what you can do, of course, is, on BFA, you can farm gold and buy a token. Okay, so I got this picture here for you guys. Okay, I thought that was explaining a lot. Okay, so basically, of course, you can't really restrict people from buying a WoW token in any shape or form from BFA. The same way you can't really restrict somebody with, you know, from buying it with money. The thing is the other way around, and I think that's what they're gonna restrict, and I think that's what people are talking about. I just can't see that really happening in Classic, because that would mean that Blizzard would have to balance the economies equally, and here's why. What you can do, you can buy a WoW token from the auction house and redeem it for 30 days of game time, right? And that's what usually people do, right? That, you know, say, hey, you know what, I'm pretty good at farming money, and I can just redeem that. I did that once or twice, and or like once or twice or a couple times when I played, and it's an easy way to just not pay money for it. And it says, so you buy the token from the auction house with your gold, right? So here's the first thing. In Classic, Blizzard would have to balance how much gold that means, how much gold that is, and it's on BFA. It's kind of also the market that determines this, of course. You know, supply and demand, and it gets more expensive or it gets cheaper. It depends a little bit. But the thing is, do you want to have people buying it with Classic gold? I mean, possibly this could make, you know, it's gonna be easier to farm gold in Classic, because there are way more guides now out there nowadays, and this could be a good way to say, okay, I'm just gonna farm it in Classic, and then of course it's gonna be less. It's not gonna be 100,000, 150,000 gold for a token, because that's practically impossible to have on Classic. So they can't really do that, but what they can do is they could have like an adjusted price for that. Let's say, I don't know, what's the equivalent to that? Let's say 1,000, maybe not 1,000 gold, but let's say, okay, for 30 days game time, let's say 500 gold. Okay, so like a WoW token in Classic is 500 gold. This can go up and this can go down, right? So that would be one option, which would still be okay to my, in my opinion. It would deflate the economy, and it would not really do any harm, because you could spend your gold that you farmed for time you want to play with in Classic. No problem with that. You can also do that in BFA, also no problem with that. What you can't do though, I think this is what Blizzard is about basically, is you cannot buy a token from the shop with your real money and then you can sell it on the auction house. because that's the way it can be done. in BFA, and then you get gold for that, obviously. So so that's to prevent the whole gold selling situation, which is a good idea. But then this means either they put it into Classic, or they just leave that out completely. If they put it in, you shouldn't be able to sell the token on the auction house. Or if they do allow this, it needs to be separated from, at a different price from the BFA. Of course, it wouldn't make sense to buy a WoW token. That would be terrible. Put it on the Classic auction house for 100,000 gold, right? Or just, that would make no sense. But the idea is, I think it's stupid it would allow you to buy gold on Classic with real money. That's the issue. And you could say, hey, I can buy gold on BFA with real money, technically seen. That's true, but, in Classic it's a kind of a little bit more, a little different deal, because, gold plays more of a role there, okay? So you can kind of, do a lot more things with the gold. Now, if that's good or bad, I don't know. It's just how this just explained how I see this. Either they allow nothing in Classic, and you can of course buy your subscription with the gold from BFA, and then you can play Classic. Or second option, you can sell. You can buy game time with a token from the auction house for, let's say, 500 gold, 1000 gold, if you want to. But you cannot sell tokens on the Classic auction house. That way you would take money out of the Classic realms, which is kind of a good thing. And you wouldn't, get gold inflation into the system from people buying a token and selling it for 1,500 gold on the Classic auction house. Or you just allow both, and you set, you have the Classic token. Whenever you're selling your token on Classic realms, there's going to be a different price for it, and you have like two separate things, right? Two separate economic systems where you allow the same token, it just varies in price. And that way you could decide where you're playing most, you could buy the token there. And then that way you could farm in Classic and, raid once a week in BFA. That's also a good thing, you could argue. So this is how the gold thing works. I personally would just say leave the whole token thing out in vanilla, because probably it's gonna cause, or potentially could cause more problems. But the idea behind that is pretty cool, to have, the token work differently when you are in Classic. I would just be very careful with people. Let's say I'm spending 20 bucks, or however much the token is. I'm spending 30 bucks, 20 bucks, and then I put the token on the auction house in Classic, and I get 1,500 gold. Technically this is a good deal for Blizzard, and it's a good deal for people wanting money back into the game. Because people are buying gold practically, but it stays in the company, and it's gold that got generated with the value behind that, which would still make sense. I'd just say leave that part out for sure, because then you have just people running around. It will have a bad effect, I think. What I can see though is just offering tokens to buy, right? That like BFA players, or that you buy from. Hold on, does that even make sense when I'm talking now? No. Maybe, because no, you can't. Look, you can't sell the token, because there needs to be a somebody that bought the token from real money behind that, of course. What we could allow though is we could use it to have BFA players transfer gold. So you could say, okay, I'm getting a WoW token in BFA because there, for me, it's easy, but I want to play, I want to have a little bit of gold on Classic. So they buy the token and put this token somehow in, put those tokens into the auction house, basically. And then people from Classic can buy that for gold there, right? And so people could get gold on the Classic realms. in general, this system only works as a circle. So, you know, you could say, okay, you can buy tokens, you know, from the classic WoW auction house that are somehow connected to the BFA type of thing, so that if a guy buys a token for 1000 gold or so, it gets calculated into the BFA equivalent of gold, so that the buyer that spent money there, right, he on BFA basically, he gets his equivalent value in the 100,000s of gold, whatever, and the buyer on classic spent his gold and got the game time. It's just very tricky, and I just can't see them doing this, because it's, as you can see, you know, it's, if you allow that one thing, there needs to be a buyer and a seller, and if you cannot buy the gold with real money, or you cannot buy the token with real money in the classic sense, technically buying gold there, then you cannot have a buyer that can buy this time again. So it's a little bit tricky. I can see them only offering WoW tokens so that people can spend their gold on classic realms and get game time, because that's a thing that doesn't really hurt. But the thing is that there needs to be a guy behind that bought the WoW token that will buy gold. I mean, technically seen, they are just buying the gold from somebody else that already had farmed it, which is okay. So, you know, I don't really care if it's going in or not, because if you think about it, first you think, okay, well, you're buying gold, and buying and selling gold on a server will inflate. But the thing is, if somebody farms 100, let's say somebody farms 1000 gold, right, and somebody buys a token with real money, then money goes to Blizzard, right? That's generated, okay, and the person has the token, puts it on the auction house. Then these 1000 gold go to the person that put the token in, right? The guy gets the token in the game time. He didn't have to spend money, the other guy did for him. And he gets the gold that the other guy farmed. So that way, that's how economy works. That's a good thing, because behind that money, there was work that was put into that. That basically works counter inflation, if you will. Right? That works against inflation happening if there's work and value put behind money. If this gold was generated out of thin air, then we would have a problem. But that way the money just gets transferred over to somebody else, which is still a good system. But I know that people will not understand the system and say, okay, I'm buying game time here, putting it on the auction house, and then somebody can buy this for gold, and then we have like gold generated or whatever. And you know, they're not gonna understand this. The system makes sense no matter what. It just has to be tuned for classic, and in a way that hey, what about a classic token, right? Less money involved, right? You can buy it for less money, and right, that would mean you can kind of make a WoW subscription. And people that said, hey, I want to, you know, I thought the classic would be for $8 or so, and I thought, you know, I don't want to pay so much for a classic. Those people would have a chance to say, okay, then you can farm the golden classic again. Just my 2 cents, some thoughts on it. Thought this would be interesting. I wanted to pick up on this because this is actually a bigger topic than I first thought about, because yeah, it's a big one. It's actually really simple, but it's also a very big one. Okay, man, this always takes so long. Let's jump right into the next one. It's the forum watch. Okay, so we're gonna go and pick one Reddit, one or two forum posts that have kind of the same thing for the next MTAs, to have a little bit more structure in. You know what to expect. So this was the comment section. Okay, so we're going to go right into the and thanks to Thomas and Powerslave, right, for the comments all the time. I appreciate that a lot. Okay, so let's jump right into the forum watch, and the first thread comes in from Ristel, House Sunsword, and it's a Void Elf. God, I see correlation here between these two. We ordered vanilla, not vanilla with sprinkles, and it goes together with the second thread that I found, and it comes in from Coniferous. No, that's actually wrong. It doesn't come in from Coniferous. It comes in from Opera. And the first thread says, yeah, we ordered vanilla, and vanilla should be vanilla. And as if somebody hasn't noticed that yet, okay? I mean, freaking even Ian Hazakostas probably knows this by now and dreams about it in his sleep. And he says sharding was not part of Classic, loot trading was not part of Classic, leave it out. And oh my god, it's getting very tiring to talk about this. I think everyone knows this now, and probably this is gonna be the last time we'll talk about this shit, because, unless we find a really interesting post, I guess. You know, and then people are getting nervous because of Diablo, and because it's a mobile thing, it's a completely different thing. Anyway, right, this guy says this is a recreation and not a remaster, not reforged. We ordered vanilla. It's not like you can order something with Blizzard. You should be happy that they're releasing it and they cater to their community. And vanilla with sprinkles is not modern hand holding, baby coddling, streamlined bogus. We know that by now, dude. Like, we know it by now, really. And you know, there's one key point that you're missing. It is not a recreation, actually. And this will trigger so many people, and I know this. But the matter, you know, the facts are, it's not a recreation. It is a remaster, and it is reforged. Because, you know, a lot of people think they know what vanilla is, but, you know, vanilla is not 1.12. It's wrong. You are getting a remaster of vanilla. That's the truth. And anyone that gets upset about this can get upset about this all they want. It's still true. Okay, we didn't start with 1.12 talents. This makes the game incredibly easy at the end game. You know, a hunter, you know, just look at the old talents. 1.0 talents, 1.1 talents. Consecration for paladins was an ultimate. There was no, you know, kings was a red ultimate. You'd have to bring red paladins to have the king's buff. Holy paladins didn't have a holy shock, not that they use it a lot, but still, you know, everything is already as streamlined as you're saying here. It's basically, maybe not hand holding, but it's kind of like baby mode. Okay. You know, Shield Slam, Warrior, what is that? That came in so late, we didn't even know what Shield Slam is. We had Shield Specialization or some shit. Where we'd have like health regen or something. There's tons of examples. The 1.0 talents, go and try Google it. Go and try to see if you find it. I think Hamster Wheel made a good video. 1.0. Hunter Survival Spec. They had a dot at the end, lacerate, that dealt less damage than a rank 4 Serpent Sting. Okay, that's the stuff we're dealing here with. All the trees were not very fleshed out. That was, you didn't deal damage. You had the paladin blessings were 5 minutes, not 15 minutes. Do you want that? Sure, right? That's vanilla without sprinkles. You're getting vanilla with sprinkles already. Okay, 1.12 are big sprinkles on top, very glittery. Okay, that's a cool fleshed out version for you. That's sparkling. Battlegrounds, okay, I'm very surprised they didn't put in the Battlegrounds from the start. PvP system wasn't in. Battlegrounds weren't in. Battlegrounds were released one after another, okay? Arathi Basin came in later. It's you know, the loot, the tier 1 stuff, it was all very, very different at the start of the server, and man, were there many bugs and things that were going on, and oh my goodness, it's you know, I can't read this anymore when people say we ordered this and we want to have vanilla. Yeah, of course we all want to have vanilla. But the thing is, maybe you're just used to playing on a private realm for 4 years. That wasn't really vanilla, right? But it was 1.12. Then at least say I want 1.12, you know, the good version of vanilla, because it's not vanilla to begin with. It seriously isn't. And you know, people are acting so entitled. It's just crazy at this moment. It's very, very crazy. You know, they're acting as if they know what vanilla is, but they want the 1.12 version with everything balanced and, you know, everything sorted out for them. But it wasn't like that. I'm sorry. Even the auction houses weren't connected. Okay, flight paths, should they be connected or not? Yeah, they should be. Everyone would say they should be. You know, if you want vanilla without sprinkles, that's, you know, you'd have to, okay, I'm in the next flight point now, better click the next one, go AFK for 1 minute, and then come back and click the next flight point. Dire Mall wasn't out. people are crying. They want it like this or like that. In the end, Blizzard will decide. You can say, look, this is all okay. You can say whatever you like, so Blizzard gets an idea. But in the end, you have to realize it's a remaster no matter what. And if you like this or not, you can downvote all you want. It's still true, and you know that. It's not a recreation, it's already a remaster, okay? If you want a recreation, then this is gonna be very tricky, because then we have to apply different patches. We have to find out, okay, patch 1.0. I would love that. I'm sure a lot of people would love that. 1.0, we start with 1.0 talents and then we move on. 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. That's how we want it, right? But technically speaking, it's very hard to accomplish this. So, sorry to crush dreams like this guy. Classic is too easy for the 2019 player base. Oh really? What do you, are people acting like it's hard? It's ever has been hard? It was never hard. Vanilla was easy. Vanilla was praised for being easy even back in the day. Of course, I know what people say about the leveling, and I completely agree. Leveling, everything is a little bit, it's way less forgiving. You're right, way less hand-holding. But the game itself was never hard. I'm sorry, it wasn't. And, you know, it's, you know, of course, you know, retail actually has harder content if you look at it that way. And this guy always comes in whenever, anytime somebody says vanilla wasn't really that hard, this guy comes in, what are you saying? Are you joking? All these retail babies, right? And just shut up, really. It's retail, you know, retail, BFA has the most challenging content in game. Yet it's way harder than AQ40, it's way harder than Nex, and I've done that stuff, okay? Of course, everything else except for Mythic and Mythic Plus is way more hand-holding and easier, I get that. But neither of those, neither Classic or BFA is harder or worse or better. People need to stop because this is the actual key point. Fear the toxic Classic community, and you know, to be quite honest, it's getting very much out of hand where people are just entitled and spouting around like they know it all. And you know, we've like at the start we've all just wanted Classic servers to play with, and that was it. You know, people didn't insult each other for playing BFA. You can make a smart remark or a joke here and there, of course, but if somebody likes to play BFA because he just doesn't like looking for groups in trade chat, let him do that. I don't give a shit about that, right? I like Classic more than BFA, and I want to play that, and I'm not gonna touch BFA. Hell no, but let people play whatever they want, okay? And don't act like, you know, Classic was so hard, and you know, people are actually acting like that, and I get that. You know, it's less forgiving, but you know, BFA is of course it's a baby mode. I don't want pet battles, I don't want that garbage. But there's also Mythic Plus raids in there, Mythic Plus dungeons, and those are actually challenging. So, you know, everything has its sides to it, and you know, at the moment, I know this is not how many people think, but it is actually getting pretty toxic. And of course, we're dealing with the forums here. What can you expect? But people are acting very entitled, and you're not getting a recreation, you're getting a remaster anyway, if you like it or not. And you know, this doesn't have to be a bad thing. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be fun, okay? And they're not gonna fuck it up and put a lot of shit in there. Of course, if you don't like loot trading, and you know, if that's gonna cancel it out for you, if you say if loot trading is there, I'm not gonna play. Okay, then don't play it. But then you should maybe reconsider, you know, how you're approaching things, and maybe have a little bit more positive mindset towards things. Of course, it's not good to have it in there. I hate it, but Jesus, you gotta be able to adapt to certain situations at some point. I mean, whatever. We've been rambling on for this long enough. We've cashed in all the dislikes, right? So it's probably for some people it's easier to see black and white. Classic hard, BFA easy, and no changes. That's it. Good. Then we probably have to delay the rest, but actually we'll go into the Reddit post here. Fuck it. We got time, right? We've got time. So the Reddit post, that's the one we wanted to talk about in the last one, and actually Power Slave commented on this and he was saying, I was talking about the items that are unusually good for the item level. And there's tons of these in vanilla actually. The original Reddit post came in from Chutoy. And he says, what items are unusually good for the item level? Let's talk about the items that can last you 10, 20 or even 30 levels before you replace them. My favorite example is the Holy Shroud, a level 27 BOE that can literally last you until level 60 as a healer. For comparison, Druid Tier 2 actually has less plus healing, but stats therefore, plus 33 on a level 27 item is pretty crazy. While that is true, let's talk about the stuff that's been commented. Let's talk about that real quick, because sure, there's more plus heal on it, but if you're dead, you have 0 plus heal, so you need to also stack some stats. Don't be that guy that says, this item has 10 more plus heal. This is why I'm gonna not use my tier set item, which has 20 stamina, 20 int, and 15 spirit, and 300 more armor, and you know, 5 MP5. I'm not gonna use that because the other one has 10 more plus heal. And I've read that plus heal is the most important stat, which is not true. If you don't survive, right, or if you your plus heal is 0. If you and if you're dead, your plus heal is 0. Just remember that. So then the comments come in. Titanic Leggings, Lionheart. These are actually things I wouldn't even list, because these are, of course, biz items already, but he's more talking about the things that are, you know, low level kind of, and that you're getting. What comes to my mind, first of all, is probably the pants from Westfall as an Alliance player that you're getting from defeating Van Cleave from the quest line. And because those are very good with like 11 strength, and they're really, you know, they're blue and have a lot of armor and stamina on them. And as a melee class that can use mail, you're wearing those for a long time going forward, because they're just so good. People are saying Ice Barbed Spear, for example, is a very good example from the Eltork Valley quest. Or the AV Crossbow. I think the AV Crossbow is actually best in slot for, you know, pre-raid biz for hunters, and you get it at 51. So that's really crazy. Of course, the as Power Slave says, the Thrash Blade and the Whirlwind Axe for warriors. The Whirlwind Axe you can actually get at level 30, and it's probably so good that you are not gonna unequip it until 50s or so. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah. And the Thrash Blade you get from the Marauding quest is actually a very interesting one. Now there's a couple of wands, right? Damnation says lesser magic wand and greater magic wand. They come in a later patch in vanilla, and they should be in if we get 1.12. And those are really great wands. I think you can equip them with level 5 and then level 12 or so. And they have really high stats for or damage values for their actual level. So this is a good thing to go for. Then we get into more things that are actually already pre-raid biz from later dungeons. But there are a couple of ones. The Triluine, I think it was Triune or Triluine amulet. The necklace you get from Scarlet Monastery, right? That actually lasts casters for quite a while. I remember this. And yeah, there's a couple of things that people are talking about here. It's an interesting Reddit thread. If you have more items that are pretty cool, the Warden Staff, right? Maswell here says the Warden Staff. That's actually one, yeah. It's actually the best Druid weapon until IQ 40. That's true. I mean, for tank druids. And somebody else said oh yeah, for the feral druids again, for the DPS ferals, the Wolf's Head Helm, of course, obligatory says that. And yeah, this is a level 40 item or so, or mid 40, that you have to equip if you're a feral DPS, and that restores energy when you shift into the cat form, thus enabling power shifting. And there's tons of items. Also the Rune of the Guard Captain. I learned this when I've played my horde now, and it was the hinterland quest. Just a general advice: if you horde, do all the hinterland quests, because no matter if you're healer, spellcaster, or a tank or a melee or whatever, there's so many good items there. The rune of the guard captain gives you, I think, attack power and hit, and as a resto druid I got a cloak with spell damage and healing, and gloves with int and plus heal on them, and it's very, very good stuff. So I can only recommend that. The ring from Dead Mines with the agility and 2 int on it, or the other way around, I don't know, but those are really good items. Yeah, there's tons. There's actually tons, and probably also the Berserker helm from Scarlet Monastery, right? That comes to my mind. The 2-hand axe from Nomergan. There's tons of items. Let me know what if you have any more suggestions. Power Slave also says that the level 40 PvP bracers, and I think that's true because they have an unusual high amount of armor and stamina, and they're actually really good for leveling. So you can check that out too. But I'm done for the day. This has been MTA 35. It's been a long one, but I think it was kind of necessary. And I think, if we have stuff to talk about, why not make it a little bit longer? I'm trying to get off the nose spray because I've been sick, and now the nose won't get free anymore if I'm not using it. But I gotta get off that shit, man. I'm hooked, and I gotta get off the drugs. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and put items that are unusually good for their level into the comments. Bye bye.